We'll call this one Gone to the Dogs. When you think about things, human beings are very, very, very special. People can write poems, make funky buildings, or out of thousands of separate parts, construct a car. Men can make music, write books that touch your soul. Human beings are amazing. What about dogs? Can a dog write a book? How about a beautiful, thought-provoking piece of music? Paint a beautiful picture? So the fact of the matter is that human beings and dogs are not the same. It's a beautiful day again. I guess another way to look at it is, this phrase herd mentality, that a lot of human beings, I know dogs are pack animals, but there's quite a few human beings, unfortunately maybe about 70% of them, that behave like pack animals. They just look at what the dominant animal in the group is doing, and then they just copy that. So they don't go through any independent thought processes themselves. They just watch, observe, copy, and that's their behaviour patterns. So you can kind of see this. There's some great examples of this from recent times. So this is one. Do you remember that? The ice bucket challenge? Madness. People did it because they could see other people doing it, and they just copied that behaviour. So I think the big club are fully aware of this tendency of humans, of a portion of human beings, to behave as though they were pack animals. And I think they've learnt how these people can be manipulated, moved like chessmen on a board. So a good example, I think, from around about 2020, and it's not the example that you think I'm going to mention, is, and you can tell me whether you've observed this social phenomenon yourself. What am I referring to? Answer: the surge in the number of people who have decided to own a pet dog. Over here in Finland, it's extremely, I have really noticed it when I go out for a walk. It's very rare to see somebody out who hasn't got a dog, and this has been a very dramatic change. I would love to try and get some data on dog ownership, or just maybe trends in the sales of things like dog food, to see whether it has gone up by as much as I think it has. So I think this is a trend that the big club has actually pushed. The only thing that I can remember from the time at that time was the official sources saying, oh, get a dog, it'll encourage you to go out for a walk. I think the NHS might actually encourage people with autism or people who are overweight to go and get a dog. So it has been pushed. So the next question is why? Why is it being pushed? Why is the big club being so keen on you getting pet dogs? I think one possible answer is, again, Depop, and there's two ways to Depop. One is obviously to delete people. The other is to discourage the creation of new human beings. So you might take people in their 20s and 30s. They want to start a family. So what they do instead is they go and get a couple of dogs rather than having real children. But and for me, this is sort of selfish, really. The people that kind of fall for this, it's like, well, having a child, it's a big commitment. When you have a child, the child might answer you back. The child might say stuff that you don't like. The child is, might want to go to university. The child might, it's quite expensive to have children. So if you're kind of like into a brand new BMW every 3 years, or going on multiple foreign holidays, it might be from your point of view that having a pet dog is a better option in terms of you having a family than having a real family of composing of human beings. You have pet surrogates for human beings, and you see this in people's words. They talk about their pet dog being a member of their family, which I think is like really weird. Something else, the big club do like trolling us. So they've encouraged people to get pet dogs. Now, what do dogs eat? Well, like mostly meat, don't they? So the big club's saying to us, you shouldn't be eating meat, but at the same time, they're pushing dogs who do eat meat. So what's going on? Surely it's going to be bad for the climate. I expect in the future there's going to be a big push, get rid of your pet, euthanize your pet dog or cat, and to save the planet. I wouldn't be surprised if that comes. Or the other one would be some sort of virus or something that is a deadly danger to humanity, and it's carried by pet dogs and pet cats. And the big club will have a big laugh getting you to take your dog to be put down, for the greater social good, to stop the spread of this deadly new virus that the Daily Mail has told you exists. So they told you to get it, and then they tell you to euthanize it. Top trolling. So Klaus Schwab wants to selectively breed human beings. He wants to mess with the genetics of humanity. Elon Musk wants to control human beings remotely through his Neuralink, to control our behaviour. In other words, these two guys, but what they want is to make us servants of them, humanity to just become a tool for the technocrats. So I'm guessing that most people on my channel watching this video would be vehemently against that. But my question to you is, how about other animals? Do you respect the freedom of other animals? Should other animals enjoy the same freedom that we currently have as human beings? And what I mean by that is to live independent lives. For me personally, I like wildlife, but I've no desire to own a pet because I feel uneasy about that. I don't want a dog to be fed by me. I don't want a dog to be like even a tool, like hunting dogs and stuff like that. Do I want a dog to just exist for the purposes of entertaining me? So can you see there's a degree of hypocrisy here? We say it's wrong for Klaus Schwab to selectively try to breed humanity, influence humanity's genetics. But for people that own pets, those pets are not natural. They've been created. They're artificial constructs. They're artifacts of human selective breeding. They are exactly what Klaus Schwab wants to create, but he wants the human version of that. As I say, I feel very uneasy about that prospect. I respect animals. I want animals to have free, independent lives and not just to be like playthings of human beings. Like putting an animal on a rope and leading it around. It just doesn't sit well with me. So for people that say to me, oh, you should get a dog for your walk or whatever. No, I value animals too much for that. It's demeaning to animals. It's awful. And obviously with the selective breeding for dogs, the dogs started off as wolves, and then they're kind of like all bred in all sorts of crazy ways, and you get these dogs that can only be described as being deformed. and people think it's hilarious to have one of these like little, I don't know, dogs that they can carry around. Or it's just mad, absolutely awful. What are you doing? You know, same as people that, often this is blokes who do this, like weedy blokes. They'll actually go and buy a massive dog like an Alsatian or something and train it to be as aggressive as possible, and then they just get shits and giggles from watching it terrorize other people, let it off the lead. You know, they don't care about that at all. Their dog will do their fighting for them, and this is wrong. I don't know if you can hear this. There you go. What you're listening to there is an example of a negative externality. That's what economists call it, and it's a third-party spillover effect that reduces the pleasure of the third party that's being subjected to the externality. So, in this case, you know, you've got somebody who owns a dog. They've gone to work all day, and what they've decided to do is just to leave their dog at home, and it just barks all day and kind of annoys neighbours. And the dog owner isn't bothered about that because they're at work, of course, and they're not exposed to the negative externality. It is by definition adversely affecting the innocent third party. And this is something I noticed a lot with dog owners, is that the vast majority of them, their dog ownership creates negative externalities. You know, obviously it could be dog crap. So I'm going to go onto the beach in a minute, Utri. There's not supposed to be dogs on here, and there's a special dog beach about 3 or 4 kilometres up the coast. But that still doesn't stop kind of selfish dog owners taking their dog to the beach and letting it crap all over a swimming beach, which is kind of, it's unhygienic, isn't it? And you know, the innocent third parties could include kids who could end up catching some pretty horrible diseases from the dog crap that's just been left there. Now I know there'll be some people who will say, "Oh yeah, but I always pick my dog poo up and whatever," and I'm not ruling out the possibility that there might be, you know, 1% of dog owners that do carry plastic bags with them and put the dog crap, they clean up after their pet to kind of prevent negative externalities. But you see, the problem with that is that wouldn't explain why there is so much like dog crap around, particularly in England as I remembered it. You know, this phenomenon of people tying their dog poo bags to trees. You know, that would be another example of a pretty spectacular negative externality. So, you know, to the dog owners that say these sorts of things, what's your explanation? You know, if dog owners clean up after themselves, like, how come there is so much dog crap around? You know, maybe is it the fault of people like me who don't have a dog? Is it us that's dropping the dog dirt? Somehow, I don't think so. The most spectacular example of a third-party spillover effect created by dog owners is when they let their dogs off a lead. In Finland, you're not supposed to do that. It's illegal. Dogs in public places are supposed to be put on leads. But unfortunately, what I'm noticing now in Finland is a growing number of dog owners who just disregard that law, and they just do it anyway. So then what happens is you get, as I say, this pretty spectacular negative externality of, you know, innocent third parties being bitten by dogs, or even worse, you know, young kids have lost their lives. And as I say, you know, the dog owner doesn't really care about that because it's somebody else, isn't it? Their dog isn't biting them, it's biting somebody else. And if they complain about it, then they're just a killjoy, aren't they? Similarly, if you, I remember walking to school once when I was teaching at the last place, and I remember I had like some, you know, my freshly washed work trousers. Somebody's kind of stupid dog off a lead starts barking, jumping at me, like hurt. Obviously some of these dogs have been trained to do that, because I think, you know, from the dog owner's point of view, I think there's some of them that get a kick out of that. They train the dog to be aggressive, and they just get pleasure out of scaring people, you know. And you complain about your freshly washed trousers having paw prints on it, and you know, you're suddenly unreasonable. You know, this person's dog has got a right to jump all over you and make muddy paw marks on your trousers, or bite you. Oh, you're just a killjoy who doesn't like dogs. You're just a killjoy who doesn't like dogs. You're like, maybe there's like a reason for that, you know. And it's kind of quite arrogant to just impose your pet on somebody else when it goes around kind of jumping at people, barking at people, disturbing the peace, or even worse, biting them. It's just completely out of order, completely selfish behaviour. People do it because the benefits to themselves, the private benefits of owning the dog, you know, the kick that people get from using their dog as an offensive weapon, outweigh the private costs, which would be the cost of feeding it. They don't consider the third party, the external costs, the costs that they're imposing on innocent third parties, people like me, who are impacted by their choice to own pets and their choice not to train them properly. What's the solution to all of this? You know, for me, I'm a libertarian, so I'm not in favour of, you know, big intrusive government, but I am in favour of kind of maintaining private property rights. So in the house that I used to live at in Guildford, there was our next door neighbour, right, and his dog used to crap in our front lawn. You know, so I think for something like that, he's compromising my property, you know. You couldn't really sunbathe on the front lawn because it just smelled of dog shit, because he selfishly allowed his dog to crap in my garden. I could never prove it was him, but I strongly suspect it was. So there should be some sort of, you know, people should, you know, like if somebody sort of vandalised your home, you need law and order, don't you? You need, that person needs to be fined for the damage that they've caused to your private property. You know, if somebody assaults you in a pub, then there's legal recompense to that. You know, the person needs to be punished in some way for that. Now, the same should apply to dog owners. Exactly the same. So that's all I want to say today. So let's respect not just other human beings, but all of God's creations, including animals. So God bless.